Some dude built a Nintendo Switch from scratch, just straight out, and that's really cool. Also, there's a rumor of quad-core Zen 2 CPUs.
Quad-core Zen 2 CPUs, and we're going to be talking about my crazy plan to get out air condition my house for about a quarter of what I was quoted from a professional.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, a quarter the amount. So, when I get a deal that is 1/4 the cost, now you've got my attention, ladies and gentlemen.
Was this whole person water cooling?
No, there's definitely like actual air conditioning involved. It's not just water cooling. But it's gonna be grand. It's gonna be grand, and I'm really excited about it. So let's go ahead and roll that intro. Sometimes I just have no idea what people are talking about, Like, Linus, that beard is so mustache. What are you talking about? What does that mean?
I have no idea.
How can a beard be so mustache? It's like, how can this show be brought to you by Savage Jerky, Manscaped, and PIA? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we did it.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, we didn't.
That's what I'm talking about. No, I didn't bother. I just didn't bother. I couldn't be ours.
We're improving every week, okay?
That's right. We're getting a little bit better every week. I mean, look at his glorious face this week, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
How much better does his camera look now that he found the power cable? You can't run a camera without the power cable. Now we've learned this.
It's a very helpful piece of the kit.
That's a free tech tip. It's a free tech tip. Well, you actually... Yeah. It's kind of a fake tech tip because you can actually totally run the camera without the power cable as long as you have the battery.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Unless you also don't have a way to charge the battery.
All right. So why don't we jump right into our first topic of the day? What was our headline? Yes. Apple launches the new iPhone SE for $399 So I guess we're going to end up calling this the iPhone SE 2020 because that's kind of what we've resorted to for deciphering Apple's horrible naming scheme. You know what? Just to kind of stick it to them, I really wish consumers and the media would all band together and start using the really horrible part numbers that actually do exist for these products. Just to be like, look, unless you start calling things something that makes any sense, this is what we're going to do. And the infuriating thing about it is that Apple clearly understands that products need names that allow consumers to easily differentiate one from the other. That's why it's called iPhone 10, iPhone 11. And yet that allow consumers to easily differentiate one from the other. That's like the iPhone department. That's what we're going to do. Because the other iPhone department seems to have it all sorted out. Where they're like, oh yeah, the iPhone SE. How about iPhone PE? Third edition. Or I don't know what the answer is.
That would even sound cool to me.
iPhone SE2. SE2. It doesn't matter. Just something so that when people are talking about the product, you know what they're talking about. It's like, yeah, I got a MacBook Air. That could be any computer. That could be an ancient piece of garbage or a brand new piece of garbage. It could be anything. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
In fairness, actually, we just wrapped up our review of the new MacBook Air. It's a lot better. So it's still limited to a 10-watt cooling solution, which means that quad-core chip in there is not able to stretch its legs in the way that competing solutions from HP and Dell are. But it's a quad-core, which means that you actually can get some real multitasking done with it compared to the last gen one, which in 2019 was still limited to a dual-core design only. So I still would have liked to see the fan, which is present in the computer, actually cooling the CPU. That's a weird one. Okay, it's got a fan. Fan does not appear to have any direct contact with the CPU heatsink. So it's just. I will not. Well, it doesn't cool the CPU, so there's that.
Isn't that the only thing that would bottleneck on it?
I think it cools the whole system. I think Apple just decided that instead of connecting a heat pipe or a vapor chamber directly from the CPU to the fan, and have a heatsink there, it's more about just overall system airflow. So they're making sure that all the components of the board get cooled. Now they could have done that while also putting, heatsink fins next to it and running a heat pipe. So that's the design decision that they made, and it's still, it's still a MacBook Air. Feels great, It's not flexible or anything like that. It's got a lot of things going for it.
Yeah.
Just could use better cooling, but at least it's got a quad-core processor now. Anyway, back to people who didn't get the memo. The iPhone SE. So it's $400. So it's got exactly the same name as the 2016 iPhone SE, and this is pretty cool. It's got the same price. And when you consider that 2016, the last time that Apple saw fit to make a budget iPhone was 4 years ago,
and a lot more people were employed.
Okay, that's a fair point, but accounting for inflation, this is effectively cheaper than the original iPhone SE, and it is a lot more phone for the money. So the specs are actually similar internally to the iPhone 11. So it's got the same Bionic A13 7nm plus processor. I love that industry trend. We don't have a new manufacturing process, so we just make the process on things. The same 64, 128, and even 256 gig storage option. I am really surprised to see a 256 gig storage option on the iPhone SE. That basically means to me that this is less of a replacement for the original SE and more just an acknowledgement that there are markets like India and America that need cheaper phones and still want to have Apple as an option, but simply cannot afford a flagship current gen iPhone. So this is a way for them to basically make a budget phone, but not cannibalize their existing flagship ones.
Yeah.
And just effectively just put the same hardware that people want. They know people want a lot of storage. Just because you only have $400 compared to someone who can afford a proper iPhone with $1,000 doesn't mean you don't want to take a lot of pictures. It's even got wireless charging. That's something that I was pretty impressed to see. Stereo audio with loudspeaker. That's really nice to have when you're watching videos on the go. No headphone jack, of course.
One thing I would like to throw in is there's a red edition, and the original, the first red edition iPhone that they released was, I think, one of the, best looking phones I had ever seen at the time.
Oh yeah,
so
it was
it
hot.
probably looks great. And proceeds go towards the fight against COVID-19, so that's cool.
That's pretty cool. All right, so that all sounded real great so far for the iPhone SE 2020 edition.
Yes.
There are some important cost-cutting measures compared to the iPhone 11 in order to hit that $400 price point. It has an 1821 milliamp hour battery. I don't remember the last Android phone that had a sub 2000 milliamp hour battery. And here's the thing that just kind of, boggles my mind a little bit when I look at phone pricing. Now, I fully understand that when you look at the BOM cost, the bill of materials cost of a device like a phone, it's really not as simple as just, it should be that, plus, some reasonable markup, let's say 20%. It's not that simple. There's a lot of R&D that goes into creating a phone, and there's a lot of support that goes into moving a product out into the channel and training your salespeople and your customer service people and your technicians and all of that. There's all these costs associated with bringing a product to market, except for one small problem. A lot of them are kind of fixed costs. So the, $1, $3, let's be generous. Let's say it's $5 extra to make that a 2,500 milliamp hour battery. I get that it's not as simple as making the phone $405.
Yeah.
How about $409.99? I get you want to hit a price point or whatever, but personally, I would take 2,500 slightly bigger battery over a wireless Qi charging option.
Smaller screen and no Face ID sensors will help with the battery a little bit, but nowhere near the gap that has been created by the lack of capacity.
Yeah, not even close. Because you got to remember too, guys, wireless charging is still, even though I suspect that Apple is taking a much safer approach to it than some manufacturers, I think Oppo has 40-watt wireless charging at this point, and OnePlus just launched a phone with 30-watt wireless charging that in order to use it, you actually have to use their wireless charger, which has a cooling fan in it that blows across the back of the phone. Like, Apple's taking a relatively conservative approach to wireless charging, but the fact that I've got wireless charging, which inherently creates more heat in the battery and therefore will make it not last as long. Maybe Apple has determined through their $1 billion a month R&D budget that it's not too bad, but this is a feature that will make your battery last less long by some amount. And in order to have it, we now have an 1800 milliamp hour battery. That's absolutely brutal.
Someone in Twitch chat, and I think a few other people as well, have said that the Project Red iPhone is raising money to fight AIDS. I believe that is generally correct for Product Red launches, but if you look on Apple's website, it says specifically under it, right next to the Project Red logo, every iPhone SE Project Red purchased new contributes directly to the global fund to combat COVID-19.
Some other spec differences here. 3 gigs versus 4 gigs of RAM, 7 megapixel front camera, so it's a little less than the 12 megapixel unit on the iPhone 11. So there's no 4K video support on the front, and there's no ultra-wide rear camera, just a single rear camera similar to the main camera on the iPhone 11. That should still be a pretty darn decent main camera. Remember, it is still an iPhone. In a nod, so I know a lot of people are really upset that the iPhone SE is not small. People thought the iPhone SE was Apple's nod to people who don't want gigantic phones. As it turns out, it's not. It's Apple's nod to people who don't want whatever current feature they're pushing and need a little bit more time to adjust, I guess. So you're stuck with a big phone, and I say big relatively speaking, like the screen's not that big, but the phone itself is much larger than the old iPhone SE. But what you're not stuck with is Face ID. So if you don't like notches and you don't like facial recognition for whatever reason, you can go back to using a front-facing touch sensor. So it's got fingerprint sensor in the more traditional iPhone spot, and no notch.
What do you think?
I think they're going to sell boatloads of them. The only thing that I look at and I go, yeah, I don't know how I could possibly recommend this to my auntie or whatever else, is that battery.
The battery.
Now, Apple has excellent battery management, and it's possible that Bionic A13 is clock lower. So we don't necessarily know that this phone actually performs the same as an iPhone 11. We just know that it has the same processor. So it is possible that it will be more efficient, that the smaller display will help. But I would have liked to see at least a 2400 class, 2500, 2600 milliamp hour battery in this thing. Other than that, I think it's a fantastic entry level into the iPhone ecosystem because it's priced so low that if you're in a market that does carrier subsidized like payment plan type of phone deals, this is easily right out of the gate, brand new when it launches. This is a $0 phone on a 2-year plan, basically, or like $100 phone or whatever the case may be.
I think I saw somewhere trade-ins for $229 or something. Like if you trade in your phone, you can get this one for $200 and something.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. And you guys, the thing is, there's a lot of people who just, it doesn't actually matter what's out there on the Android side of things. They want an iPhone, and so Apple didn't have to give them a cheaper option, I guess.
To be fair, while they might not like to admit it, I think that's probably, maybe not just as true, but probably close to just as true on the Android side. No matter what Apple has to offer, they're going to stick with Android.
You should have seen the toxicity in the comments. You should have seen the toxicity in the comments on my
fanboy Linus.
Yes, yeah, exactly. On my S20 Ultra video, it's still covered in those comments. Like, it's just pathetic how much of an Apple fanboy this is. No, it's pathetic how much you actually, how desperately you want to remove the splinter from my eye without noticing the 2x4 sticking out of yours.
Which one do you think you've used more? Which platform?
Android by a long shot at this point.
That's what I thought, but I know you've used quite a bit of.
So I used my iPhone 4 for like 3 years, and then I actually went from that to Windows Phone of all things because I was doing like a review of something, and then that was terrible. And then I was pretty much Android until, which one was it? I think it was the 6S. was the one that got me back on the iPhone. 6S was
okay.
a freaking outstanding phone. I might have, you know what? I might have daily driven the 6 before the 6S. 6S was awesome. 6 was excellent. And then they haven't won me back.
The
since
6
then.
sold a ton too. That was an extremely ubiquitous phone. The 6S.
Yeah. Both of them were like kind of awesome. I'm trying to find how long they actually updated the old iPhone SE with iOS. Yeah, there's like there's a matrix for how long Apple iOS support matrix. Oh yeah, here it is. Here's a really good one. I don't have a quick and easy way to screen share this with you guys, unfortunately. But one of the other factors to consider when we talk about budget phones is not just how much you spend on the phone, but also how much value you're getting out of the phone. Like I like to look at things in terms of like what it costs per unit of time that I actually get to use it. So if we look back at the original iPhone SE, here we go. So that puppy started out with, looks like, I want to say iOS 9.3?
Sorry for glaring at the camera. My I'm not using a webcam anymore. That's also why it's higher when I'm looking up. But the screen just like got a lot brighter, and an icon started flashing. And I was like, "What the heck's happening?" I still don't know, but I'm just not gonna worry about it.
Shoot, and of course I'm going on the site, and the so now I don't know what iPhone SE is talking about.